When Aria Delacroix woke up, she realized she was leaning against Xavier Ashford's shoulder, his large hand resting lightly on her waist. His scent enveloped her, a blend of sandalwood and masculine cologne, intoxicating like the finest aphrodisiac. Xavier was on the phone. His voice was low, firm, and commanding. It wasn't entirely appropriate to take calls in an 4-room, but Xavier's presence was magnetic, drawing the attention of every woman nearby. When the call ended, Xavier noticed Aria was awake. Her pale face was now tinged with a faint blush, and her drowsy eyes carried an innocent allure that was enough to captivate any man. "How long are you planning to stay there?" he asked, his tone calm but pointed. Aria's face flushed and she quickly sat upright. Xavier picked up his coat and tucked his phone into his pocket. "I'll drive you home." Aria hesitated to trouble him further, but Xavier seemed resolute. On the drive, Xavier answered a phone call. After a brief conversation, he turned to Aria. "I need to stop by my apartment to pick up a fax. I'll take you home afterward." Aria hesitated. She knew what it might imply for a woman to enter a single man's apartment. But then she mocked herself internally. Xavier Ashford didn't need tricks or tactics to get women. She remained silent, which he took as agreement. Xavier's apartment was located in one of N-City's prime districts, a sprawling 200-square-meter space decorated with the kind of luxury usually reserved for magazine spreads. "Wait here," Xavier said, motioning to the plush couch in the living room before heading into his study. Inside, he received the fax and made a quick phone call to his assistant, issuing a few instructions. When he was about to return to Aria, his phone buzzed again. The unique ringtone belonged to someone significant. Xavier's expression shifted subtly, his entire body tensing. After staring at the screen for a moment, he declined the call. The other party didn't call back, almost as if they were equally proud. Frustrated, Xavier poured himself a glass of whiskey. He stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, glass in hand, staring out into the dark expanse of the city. Aria waited in the living room, growing increasingly uneasy. At first, she heard the sound of the fax machine, but after Xavier's phone call, silence filled the space. Unable to shake her worry, she pushed the study door open slightly. Xavier stood with his back to her, silhouetted against the city lights. His broad shoulders seemed weighed down by an invisible burden. Aria's intuition told her that Xavier was thinking about someone important. She turned to leave quietly, not wanting to intrude. "Stop." Xavier's low, husky voice froze her in place. Before she could react, strong arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her back against his chest. His lips brushed against her neck, his breath warm and intoxicating. "You came here, didn't you want this?" Aria couldn't deny it. Her mind screamed warnings, but her body was weak, unable to resist him. Nightfall cloaked the city. At the grand floor-to-ceiling window, Aria was pinned against the glass. But just as their passion reached a tipping point, Xavier suddenly pulled back. Aria, breathless and flushed, whispered, "Xavier, what's wrong?" The desire in Xavier's eyes disappeared in an instant. He stepped back, cold and detached. "Miss Delacroix, I've had too much to drink." "That was inappropriate." Aria stood frozen, her face drained of color, shame washing over her.